everybody, welcome back to Garden Time with Belle. Fun project for today, a new adventure. You know, I like trying new things, and I have joined the Greenstalk Garden family. Greenstalk are these amazing vertical planters that I have seen lots of you using, some friends of mine planting these. So I took the plunge and gifted myself with one of these amazing planters. So I want to show you some of the special features. You know, I love packaging. I think a lot of us appreciate lots of information. And so this came in the mail with lots of good information on how to install these, how to use them, etc. So it's full of good information. So if you happen to get one of these, expect that you'll have lots of good instructions on how do you put it together and some growing instructions. So that's what I'm planning to do today. I do want to show you a few parts that come, and then talk to you about what kind of plants I'm hoping to plant in here and why I decided to get this. So the vertical planter that I went with is a 5-tier with really big, long, deep planting pockets for different crops, from veggies, herbs, flowers, or whatever. So that's what I chose. And so it's really amazing how it works. So you've got 5 tiers that you fill up with soil and you stack them up, and they fit together snugly. I won't bother you with all the details. I'll put a link in the description below to the company and some information about how you put it together. But basically, you fill up each of the 5 tiers with good quality potting soil, and then once it's full of soil, you place this on top and line up the little holes with each of the pockets, because the idea here is once you get it all the way up, you're going to fill this top vessel with water all the way to the top, and it has holes, and it will be a slow drip irrigation. This will feed this cell, which has holes, which will feed this tier all the way down. So all 5 tiers will get a nice slow drip of water to keep your plants healthy. So that's really the basics. One other thing I want to show you, if you look over here, I went ahead and purchased the spinner. This is extra. What's really important about that is you want to make sure wherever you put your tiered planter, it's on a level spot, because you don't want this big planter full of soil and plants falling over in a windstorm. And so far, what I've read from other people that use this, they've never had that be an issue. But anyhow, my husband made sure that it's on a nice level surface here in the corner of my raised bed garden. And the spinner is great because, you know, it'll get sun most of the day, but that is south. So I will occasionally choose to spin this around so that all of the plants get plenty of sunshine through the growing season. So why in the world did I fall in love with this idea to get one of these? Well, I've talked to a lot of people who love to grow strawberries, but like me, they don't have a spot in their garden. You know, my 9 garden beds here are full, and they're already going to be full of all other kinds of crops. And strawberries love to spread. So this time I thought, I saw everybody use these for strawberries. So I purchased some ever-bearing strawberries that I'm going to pop in a couple of the tiers. So I've got 5 of these plants that I'll put in, but actually all 5 tiers, there's 30 spots for plants. Whoa. So the other thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in some of those little seedlings that I started this year in my greenhouse. I haven't decided yet. I'll just come out here and pop in wherever I think I want to put them. And so I'll show you later what I decided on. It may be a work in progress. I may not pot up everything today, but I'll definitely get it in the right space for receiving plants or seeds or little seedlings that I have in the greenhouse. The other thing that makes this amazing is, I think back to my days when my husband and I were newlyweds. We had a little townhouse and a tiny little concrete patio. That was the only space we had for gardening. And my husband was so smart to suggest that, Belinda, you still can have a garden. Grow those tomatoes that you love and some of those pepper plants and flowers in 5-gallon buckets. So he drilled holes in those buckets for me, and our little patio was a little mini garden. But wow, this wasn't around way back in the 80s when we were newlyweds. Wouldn't this have been amazing? So those of you that have a small space, or you're not really into gardening but you want to grow a few things, these would be amazing for back patios, you know, a porch, a deck, so that you can have fresh fruits, vegetables, herbs, and even flowers. So I just love the fact that it's so great for small spaces. And so let me take you along for the process. I'll probably speed that up. You don't need to see everything we're doing, but my husband had a great suggestion. He said, rather than fill these with soil here in the raised bed garden, you know, we have these gravel walkways and spilling all the soil, which I'm good at doing. He said, let's fill them with soil out in the grass and then bring them in and stack them. So that was a really smart idea, and I've got his muscles to help me today in case they feel heavy, moving them to this permanent spot. So come along on another Bell Garden adventure on trying to plant up my first vertical garden. Now that we've got the tiers all filled with potting soil, I want to show you what these water basins look like. So you can see here, there's a little hole in each of these, and you want to make sure when you're installing to line up the hole with the pocket, because you want your water to seep through here and feed that individual pocket. And as you know, there are 6 of them in each tier. And then the very tippy top that I'm going to put on here in a minute, it's got soil, but this is where you actually fill the whole tiered planter with a hose. You fill this to the very top, and it will, of course, drip slowly. You can see some holes in here. It'll drip all the way down to this, and this will drip and fill up the entire garden with good water. can't think of a better place to hang out after that garden adventure than on my screened-in back porch. Nice and shaded this time of day. Oh, it's early afternoon here, and I am finished with planting out my new Greenstalk Vertical Garden, and I appreciate you all coming along for that. So what did I decide to put in there? Well, I, of course, placed the strawberries in there, and that's something that I purchased from a nursery. They're ever-bearing strawberries, so supposedly they produce all season long, so fingers crossed that we'll have some delicious, juicy strawberries to enjoy throughout the summer. And then I went in the greenhouse and I thought, what can I find in here that I've grown from seed that I want to plant and try out in this stacker or tiered garden? So I chose parsley, chives, some scallions, a couple of flower plants, I think stock, and then some pepper plants. So I tried my hand at growing peppers from seed this year, and I don't know what I did wrong. They're supposed to be easy to grow, and anyhow, the starts are about, I don't know, my seedlings were maybe this tall. And so I thought, what the heck, I've got a bunch of them. And rather than keep them in the greenhouse and have to tend them like crazy, I'm going to take the largest ones I could find and pop them in the vertical garden. So we'll see how they do. So I thought I might share with you what I learned. You know, gardening is an adventure. I talk about come along on an adventure, and for me, I see it that way. It's just fun and exciting. I've been gardening for many years, but I am not afraid to try new things. I get excited about gardening when I hear about things like vertical planters, you know, and so I just go for it. So anyhow, that was really a fun adventure. But here's what I learned from just this process today. The planters take a lot of soil, so be ready for that. A lot of potting soil, and you want to use potting soil just like any container. You want light, airy potting soil that's going to hold the moisture, that's going to help your plants really set out some strong roots and be healthy this season. You probably noticed, though, that I did not use my Pro Mix potting soil, which is my preferred and favorite type of potting soil, because I was running pretty low. And this baby, I needed way more soil than that. So you saw the big yellow bags. So no hateful comments, please. I couldn't find any other potting soil but Miracle Grow yesterday at my garden center, and that's what was available. So that's what I used for this project, and it took 3 huge bags. When you go onto the Greenstalk website, and I'll make sure I include that, it tells you how much soil for each of those tiers, and it was almost 3 huge bags of soil. So because of that, I know already that next season, when I plant fresh plants for the summer, I will not be dumping all that soil out and starting fresh. I know that there are some wonderful influencers on YouTube, gardening gurus, that really are big proponents of dump the soil and start fresh every year, but that's not realistic for a lot of us, and I won't be doing that. And what I will be doing, though, is I will amend that soil. So, of course, when I harvest everything and the end of this season comes, that soil will be down, it'll be lower. I'll be taking plants out and putting them in the compost bin, and I will for sure amend that soil with some really high quality organic compost and work that in for my next crop of things for next year. So I really did want to lift that up. So be prepared that it takes a lot of potting soil when you initially get it started. There was some spillage of soil, as you saw. We decided when we filled up the 5 big containers, we did that out in the grass. So if I spilled a lot, which I'm known to do, it would land in the grass and not in the pathways of my raised bed garden. But once we moved it in there, of course, when you're potting things up, you know, there's going to be some spillage of soil. So just be prepared for that. Some people maybe would want to put a tarp down underneath, and then you don't lose that precious soil as you are planting up your plants. Let's see, what else did I want to share? Oh, you saw towards the end of the video, I placed some critter netting over the containers. So here's the thing. Our raised bed garden has 6-foot tall fencing all around it with critter-proof netting because we live out here in the country and there's all kinds of critters, and I don't want to work this hard to have my garden eaten by critters. And thank goodness, even though we have deer out here, we don't have a lot of deer pressure up by the house because all surrounding our property are lots of woods, lots of vegetation and places for deer to roam and eat native plants. So they don't really bother my garden and all my perennial beds. Never had any loss. Doesn't mean we wouldn't. However, just this year, for the first time in my raised bed garden, we think there was probably a squirrel that got in there. There are a few trees near the garden, and I think he probably jumped in from one of the trees, but something ate up a bunch of little starts that I had planted out. So I thought, I don't want to lose any of these things. Plus, I hear lots of gardeners caution against growing strawberries because the birds love that fruit just like we do. And so putting some kind of a barrier between your plants and critters is a good idea. So it's not very pretty, I must say, that netting, but it's going to be there, and I'm going to hopefully protect those plants, and I could change my mind, as I've been known to do. But for now, it's in place, and hopefully it will do the trick, and we'll get to eat the things that are growing in there instead of all the critters in my area of Missouri. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for coming along. Please like and subscribe as always. And wherever you are today, I wish you a happy gardening day.